What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today we're going to talk about something that you guys have kind of wanted me to talk about for a while, and I've had a couple of requests for this, and this is the stance requirements coming back to WoW, and especially to Warriors, obviously, in Warriors of Draenor. Now, if you guys don't really know, that's whenever you have to go into a certain stance to cast certain abilities. Now, obviously you guys know that I don't want to have you guys go through the whole video not knowing what side of the fence I'm on, so I'm going to fall off so we can move on. I think it's clunky, I think it's unintuitive, and I think the only gameplay it really adds is it adds a shield above your head for 2 seconds. I don't like it at all, and I hope it goes away. I thought it was a mistake, but they still haven't fixed it. Like, it really makes me mad. Now, I'm okay with a lot of the warrior changes, but some of them, however, I really don't like. Now, I mean, I know that we're going back in time. You know, I know we're going back in time to kill Garrosh and in the old Outland and all that, but it seems like we're also going back in time in terms of the design philosophy of warriors, especially. You know, as I said, stance requirements. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, your auto attack. Auto attack is like part of your rotation. Whirlwind is part of your single target rotation. I mean, like, tomorrow, like, if I go and I see on MMO Champion that Spell Reflect requires a shield, I won't even be surprised. I mean, like, we are literally going back to Burning Crusade. But, I mean, to me personally, like, this doesn't... It brings back a lot of memories. It brings back my old PvP days. I used to only PvP. I never really raided too much. I did occasionally, but mostly PvP in Burning Crusade. Now, back then, I was a really different person than I am now. I was about 16, 17 years old. Yeah, and let me tell you guys, I was a fiend. Like, I was a fucking animal. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly how. Like, I'm going to tell you guys how it used to be before they removed the stance requirements and what that did to me. Like, how I reacted to that. Now, the first thing is we're going to put this into context, all right? A little bit before then, I was 14. And if you guys ever played on Xbox Live, and you had that kid that before the game even started, he called you a faggot. Hey, that was me. I did that all the time. And I actually didn't just call you a faggot. I actually called you a faggot bitch. Okay, that I had to put two of them together because I'm original, and this was in Halo 2. So I mean, I was just and so that was back in the day, so they couldn't really kick me off Xbox Live. But I mean, I would just do that all day, every day, scream at people. It didn't even matter. I was just a piece of shit, and I would just do that all the time. And I mean, back then, I mean, like, yeah, okay. Whenever I was 14, I did throw a controller through the wall because I got no scope from across the map, and it's a little crazy, you know. I mean, of course, there was also the time that I was playing a Godzilla fighting game, and I gave myself a concussion with a GameCube controller because I lost a match. But I mean, that's just small potatoes, really. That's just a forerunner to the fiend that would arise in myself whenever I got Cyclone with Spell Reflect up. Now, and that leads us up to about Season 2, Season 3, Burning Crusade. And at that point, I was a wild beast. And why you guys are wondering what the fuck that even means, so let me tell you a story about a fork, a mouse, and a Lamborghini. Now, whenever I first started playing WoW, it was about 2006. I didn't really have much of a gaming computer. I had a pretty nice computer, though. It was HP or something like that. It was a wireless keyboard and mouse. So at the time, I pretty much felt like I was Batman. And however, the way that I used that keyboard and mouse was much more like a caveman. Now, whenever something didn't go my way in WoW, what I would do, this is what I started off doing. This was before I really learned the secrets. Is I would take the keyboard and I would take it like this, and I would just hit myself in the face with the keyboard until about almost all the keys fell off, or at least the amount of keys that I actually needed to play. And so what I would do at that point is I'd get down, and I'd crawl around, and I'd pick up the S key so I could backpedal my way to victory, and then I'd pick up a few more, and then I'd put them back on the keyboard while I was loading out from the losing arena screen, and then I'd be pretty calm because I'd be having to find the keys, and it was actually a really good system. But I'm the kind of guy, I believe in negative reinforcement, and so I felt that if I hurt myself, if I hit myself with this keyboard, I will learn to reflect that fucking cyclone every goddamn time. But the problem was, there was a real problem, is that the keyboard didn't really hurt, and so it was just more for effect, knock the keys everywhere. It was funny to see, but it didn't really, I didn't really learn much out of it. And so I just kept getting cycloned, and I was just it. Apparently, I was not learning. And so the next thing I did is I got the mouse, and I would take this mouse and I would hit it up against my forehead like this, and it was the ball right here. I wouldn't pussy out and hit myself by the flat part. No, by the ball. And I would hit myself in the head again. It was very similar to the keyboard, to where this was a wireless mouse. And so I'd knock the cover off and then knock both the batteries off. And so again, I'd be crawling around on the screen while I was getting battle rezzed or whatever, or loading out. And I would pick up the batteries and put them back in the mouse. And probably I would be pretty calmed down, but the problem was both of these things, they were still plastic. And so how much can you really learn from plastic? Not too much. So I said, maybe if I moved up, to metal, and that's what brings us to the Lamborghini. Now, the Lamborghini was a toy car that I had, and I would take that Lamborghini, and what I would do with that Lamborghini is I had it on my desk right here, right in front of my monitor. And every time that I got cyclone with spell reflect up, or basically anything just didn't go my way, I would take that Lamborghini, I would hold it, and I would look at it, and I would hit myself in the face like 5 or 10 times as hard as I could. Now, you guys have seen a Lamborghini. They're very flat cars, very sleek cars, very low roof. Well, let me tell you something. This Lamborghini had a very low roof because I hit myself in the head with this so many times. I actually dented the metal roof in. Now, at this point, you guys are probably thinking, I'm full of shit. And so that's why, earlier today, I went downstairs and I got it. Here's the Lamborghini. Here it is, right here, as you can see. There it is, flattened in. And it fits perfectly right into my forehead. And we'll just do a little demonstration here. And that was only about 1/10 of the amount of times that I would hit it. See, it's already completely fucking destroyed. And I mean, as I said, this was all with my face. So if ever I do something weird in a video, this might be kind of part of it. And anyway, the thing is, by this time, I was almost 2K rated, which back then, Burning Crusade was kind of a big deal, especially I was on a PvE server. So obviously, I'd learned a lot from this Lamborghini. But unfortunately, almost 2K, it didn't get me Season 3 shoulders. Fast forward to a few weeks later. I'm hovering around 1920, 1950 rating. I've been doing Arena for about an hour, so I've already lost my voice, and I've already got a headache from the Lambo. And what do you know? Another fucking Druid Warrior team. And I told my partner, I told him, like he should have known this, that if I got cycloned with spell reflect up one more time, I would take a fork and I would stab it into my arm. And he was just, we were on Skype, this was back whenever Skype was actually kind of pretty new. And he's like, yeah, right, good joke. Arena was not a joke. Arena was not a joke for me. Now, about 2 seconds later, guess what happens? Guess who got cycloned, and guess what buff I had up? Spell reflect. And so I reach over to my dinner plate, and I pull this fork out, and I pull it right out of my mashed potatoes, and I stuck that motherfucker right into my arm, and there's two little scars right here where I stuck it in there. And now, if you guys have ever gotten a shot, imagine, I don't touch that anymore. Imagine getting 4 shots by a really big needle. Okay, it hurt like a motherfucker. And at that moment, I looked up. Obviously I was screaming and yelling, and I mean, obviously I was just, as I said, I was a fucking fiend. All right, and so I look up in the air, and I say, why did you make me do this, Blizzard? Why did you do this to me? And, I mean, obviously my partner is hearing all this on Skype, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? Are you okay? I mean, like, it's just the typical stuff. I mean, like, if you guys have had somebody get stabbed while you're in a Skype call with them, like, you know what I'm talking about. And so, it was a little quiet. I just said, I did it. And he didn't know what to say. Honestly, neither did I. I pulled the fork out of my arm. I won the match. Now, luckily I didn't get mashed potato poisoning, so I'm here to tell the tale. A week later, I get my vengeful shoulders. In between that time, there's another fork incident. Now, I'm sure you guys have similar stories, and I'd love to hear them. If you want to comment your stories of how bullshit game mechanics have caused you to do things that maybe you might not do normally, let me know. I don't know why they're bringing back stance dancing. I fucking hate it. There's no reason for it. So please, Blizzard, remove the stance requirements, because the last thing I need is another fork in my arm.